Hey, everybody, welcome back to Behavior Shift. This is the podcast where we break down the science of making real changes in your life. I'm Ben, and along with me, as always, is Kurt. And today we're diving deep into something that might hit home for a lot of you.
Yeah, today's topic is a game changer for anyone setting goals, and we're talking about figuring out your true self. Because before you can set any goals that actually matter to you, you've got to know who you really are.
Yeah, it's easy to get swept up in the idea of success as defined by others. That could be your family, it could be society, or it could be all those pesky Instagram influencers. But if your goals aren't really aligned with your values, your chances of sticking with them, not so great.
No, not great at all. And it's kind of wild when you think about it. But so many of us set goals that aren't really ours. We think we want that high powered job, get that promotion, have that new boat, whatever it is. But deep down, is that really going to bring us happiness? Is it really what we want? Or is it just what we think we're supposed to want?
The boat does sound kind of nice, but
It
I think
is.
it's still
It's a
important to
nice
think
thing.
about.
But is it really what you want, Ben? Is it really
Probably
there?
not.
Yeah.
Probably not at all. And that's why it's so crucial to step back and ask, what do I want? Not what your parents want, what your partner wants, or what your friends want for you, but actually what drives you. What aligns with your personal values and your priorities? Otherwise, you're just chasing somebody else's dream.
Yeah. Taking a deep dive on me might seem selfish. And I know sometimes it might feel that way, but it's important, right? Think about it this way. If you've ever started a goal and lost steam halfway through, a third of the way through, whatever that would be, maybe that's the reason why. Maybe that goal was built around somebody else's expectations, not what actually brings you joy or fulfillment. And if a goal doesn't align with your true self, won't have the motivational push that is often needed to achieve these big goals, these keystone goals, as we've talked about.
Exactly. And we have talked about this a little bit in past episodes, but today we're going to get a lot deeper into that. So, Kurt, where should people start?
First, we want you to think about those times in your life when you felt fulfilled, when you felt happy, joyful, all of those things, right? When did you feel like you were making a difference or had significance? What were you doing during those times? Who were you with? And what was the outcome? It's not about the specific event, but about the feeling it gave you. And that's a big clue about what you actually value.
It is. And basically, if you felt fulfilled when you were creating something, for example, maybe creativity is one of your core values. If it was when you were helping someone, maybe connection and services are what drive you. Once you pinpoint these moments, you're actually starting to get a clearer picture of what it is that matters to you most.
Yeah. So when you think about this, think about how, Ben, like if you are going out, I know you like to go out in the wilderness and that brings you joy. Those are aspects that if you stop and think about where are those moments in your life where you look back and you go, yeah, that was cool. Or in the moment, you actually pause and notice this is really enjoyable for me, that this is something that I like to do. Those are the times when you really need to be able to just notice what you're doing and take that because that is a really good indicator of what is important to you.
Exactly. And yeah, knowing, as you said, like being out in the wilderness, right? That drives me. And knowing that those are moments that make my life more fulfilling are important for me to understand what things that I need to be focusing on in the future. And Kurt, I know you're really driven by learning and understanding and uncovering new insights into human behavior, into how the world works, all sorts of things like that. So probably one of
Yeah.
your core values is that idea of learning, right?
Yeah. Lucky we get to do this, right? I mean, there you go. That's okay. Okay.
Exactly.
So we've warmed up a little bit. Let's go deeper then. Let's have you listeners go deeper with a few more questions. Now, take your time with these. Maybe even let them sit with you for a day or two if you need to. And we'll put these in the show notes. We'll also just have them here. And if you want to stop the video or stop the podcast and just sit with it, please do so. So here are a few to start with, right? When have I been happiest in the past year? So think about it. When have you been happiest? What are those moments? What energizes or motivates me? So in other words, what is it? Again, for Bennett, for you, often it's getting out in the wilderness, it's doing active things. For me, it's reading, right? It's learning new things. So what energizes and motivates you? What are you most grateful for in your life? And this is gratitude. We talked about gratitude before, but what are those things that you're grateful for that if all of a sudden disappeared, that would be horrible, right? What are those either moments or people or other facets of your life that you're grateful for? And then what does success look like for you? Not anyone else. What does success, if you were to say, God, this is when I was really successful, what was that like? And then lastly, what are some of the non-negotiables in your life? What is that line that you won't cross? What is it that the things that you're just not going to budge upon? It's really important to have those lines in the sand drawn so you know when and who you are at that deep core level, because that really says something about you.
Yeah, it does. And I think just to build upon what Kurt said in asking about success, remember that's what success means to you as an individual. It's not societal expectations of success. It's not your family's expectations of success. It's what you see as driving, what you would look at yourself at and say, this is me being successful. So again, it's
Yeah.
it's about you. It's not about others and external influences. And with that, listeners, these are the kinds of questions that reveal what your true self cares about you. You're not just thinking about goals anymore, you're actually defining what success means to you, like we talked about. And you can probably come up with some questions of your own that can help with that deep dive as well. So, when you have that kind of clarity, setting goals actually becomes a lot easier and more meaningful because it aligns to those values that you've set for yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so stop right here. You can hit the pause button on the podcast or video and think about these questions and then write them down. When have you been happiest? What energizes you the most? How do you define success? And lastly, and very importantly, what are those non-negotiables in your life?
And just another plug for our tools. If you have our goal shift module, these exercises are actually on pages 9 and 10 within the module. We also provide you a list of words that can help you identify where your core values are. It's an exercise that gives you a matrix to choose the words that stand out to you that define who you are. There's additional information on the influences that might be shaping or mishapping your current desires as well. So this can really be a great tool to to take your thoughts and put them on paper.
All right, so if you haven't stopped it already, stop the video now. Okay, okay, shifters.
Are we back?
Hopefully you've stopped the video and now you're just turning it back on after stopping the show and answering those questions. But somehow, Ben, I don't know, do you have the same feeling? But somehow I have the feeling that most people that are watching this right now just continued right on. They didn't pause this at all. That
Probably true.
what do you
Not
think?
everybody, not
Yeah.
everybody, but I'd say the
Not
majority.
everybody, but maybe you, listener, and you can still stop this and do this. And actually, the continuation, that's a behavioral bias that we have, but we're not going to talk about that today. We'll get going. All right. Yeah. All right.
I don't know though. I have faith in our listeners. I think that there was plenty that actually stopped the video. So moving on, what's next?
Well, it's not just about the good stuff, right? So when we think about our true self, we also have to understand some of the not so good stuff, right? And it's really important to look at the negative things in your life. And here's another set of questions, right? Another exercise that you can do to help you identify those things that you don't want to have happen. All right. Think about the times in the past year where you were stressed or down. What were you doing? What triggered those feelings? What were the things that you wanted to avoid? Right? Those are important pieces to understand.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes knowing what you want is just as valuable as knowing what you don't want. And maybe you regret not standing up for yourself in certain situations or you feel drained around certain people. Those feelings are clues to help you understand what's not working for you. So if you can set boundaries and goals that align with who you want to be beyond just the things that you want, but also the things that you don't want, you can help avoid yourself from falling into those traps in the future.
So here's another list of questions to that you again, please take some time to think about and write out your thoughts on. So in the past year, what were the lowest points? What were the lowest points in this last year? What are some triggers that I know that trigger negative emotions in me? Is it something when people talk negatively about me? Is it when I have to do a certain task? Is it when I feel ignored? What are those things when those negative emotions get triggered? What do you tend to procrastinate on? What are the things that you keep putting off? If you keep putting things off and off and off, there's probably some underlying element that you need to be aware of when that happens, right? Look back on the past year and what do you regret? What is it a regret of something that you did or is it a regret of something that you didn't do, right? Again, feel free to stop this video, this podcast right now and answer these questions. What has been the lowest point this past year? What are the negative triggers that set you off? Where do you procrastinate? And what do you regret? And FYI, if you don't stop this and answer those questions, you just might regret it.
little little bit of a motivational boost there. Um, so after going through both positive and negatives, you should start to have a pretty good sense of what your true self values are. But now here's a fun challenge. Take all of that, boil it down, and write yourself a 7-word memoir. Kurt, you want to talk about what that is a little bit?
Yeah, it's 7 words. It's just a 7-word memoir, and it forces you to really focus on what's most important to you. So in other words, take all that you just thought about on all those questions. What are some of those core values? If you had to summarize that down into 7 words that are kind of a motto for your life of who you are, what you are. Those are the things that are really important. So it could be something like creative, driven, helping others to live their best life, or it could be something like looking for fun in all the wrong places. I think that
I think
was
that was more than
7
7
words.
words.
I don't know. I just made that up, but that's what it is. So that's what this is about. It's resonating, finding what resonates with you and really concisely trying to put it in. Right.
And so with that, Kurt, do you yourself have a 7-word memoir?
Yeah. So mine, again, you talked about this earlier. I love learning. I love knowledge. There's also pieces about caring for others and my friends, my family, my children, my wife, people in general. I'm just, caring kind of part. Um, then impact. And there's a big piece of this of I want to make a difference. And so my 7-word memoir is impacting the world through knowledge, caring, and action. So,
I love
all
it.
right, tit for tat, Ben. Do you have your 7-word memoir?
As you mentioned, Kurt, I'm driven, I think, by adventure and a, little sense of adrenaline, getting outside and exploring. I also really find that I need purpose in the things that I do. I can't just do things to do them. There has to be um, some sort of purpose around them, and that's not everything, right? You can't have purpose in every moment in your life. But overall, I think that drives me. And then, my family really motivates me, keeps me together. Those are the times that stand out to me over the past years, just spending time with them. So my 7-word memoir at this point in my life is adventure led, purpose driven, and motivated by family.
Oh, I like that. And I'm glad that you still hang out with me, even if you want to have purpose in the things that you do, even there. So, okay,
Like I said, you can't
for
have purpose in everything.
good point. Good point. Okay. For all of you, take a few minutes or even hours to figure this out. This isn't something that you can just like off the top of your head come up with. You need to really think and go through those questions that we gave you. Take the time to really explore this. And this is a really important part. Many people have never done this exercise. It's just the time that it takes to sit down to think back over your past year or couple years. What are those really important things, both positive and negative? And then summarize that all into just a 7-word memoir, not memory, right? And this is important work that we often overlook or just do it kind of half-assed, but
Hmm.
it's important. And the research shows that when you truly understand your true self, it provides so much more power to our goals. We not only set better goals that align with our true beliefs, but we are more motivated to achieve those goals. It is a win-win, people. So please do it.
Exactly. This is a really important part of the change journey. So it's, an important part of anyone's life journey, really. And we really encourage you to not skip over this part. I think it's helpful too to read through the questions and jot down your initial reaction, kind of do a fast pass through it and then take that time to do the deep dive. At least for me, everyone has their own working style, but for me, getting that high level, here's the words, here's the ideas, the things that stand out to me in my life, and then put the thought in and spend the time and the hours, as Kurt said, to dive deeper into which one of those things are the most important to you.
Yeah. So again, everybody who's watching this or listening to this, take some time to work through these exercises. Do a fast pass, as Ben said, and then dig deeper or just dig deep, whatever works for you. Start by reflecting on those moments of fulfillment, dig into those values, and don't forget to examine the things that you want to avoid. And then, here's the fun part, hit us up with your 7-word memoir. We'd love to hear what you come up with.
We really would. So if you're comfortable sharing, drop it in the comments below, and we'd love to have a conversation about it. And remember, understanding your true self is the key to setting goals that really matter. And as a special bonus to those of you listening, we're going to give you a 50% discount on the electronic goal shift module. That's the one we referenced earlier that has those exercises to do the deep dive into it just for listening to this episode. Please find the information below on the show notes, and you will get that right available for you.
And remember to subscribe to Behavior Shift. Stick with us, and we'll keep helping you make those shifts towards a life that's in tune with your deepest values. So, see you next episode. Let's get shifting.